We have over the next 2.5 days, probably 20 sessions dealing with what's going on new in Open Insight between what we've put into our product ourselves and what some of our vendors have done as add-ons. You'll be taught by some of the best minds, I hope, in the Revelation world.
It's this idea that prompted me to talk, again, on the 5 concepts in Open Insight developer should never forget. Now, some of the concepts I'm going to talk about are rather elementary, but it's surprising that after you start developing for just a short while, you begin to forget.
Okay, so let's talk about Open Insight SQL Connector. You guys know who I am already. Okay, so over the next hour-ish, I'd like to talk about what our data options are right now. In Open Insight, in AREF we had our AREF data, and then we had environmental bonding where you could do some other things. We'll talk about what most of the other database world is doing, although Tom covered that fairly well this morning. Some commercial considerations, our response to this, which is of course going to be our SQL connector, hence this talk. We'll talk about the theory, the specific details, and demonstrations and examples. If it goes well, it's going to go really, really well. If it goes bad, it's still going to go pretty well. It's kind of like pizza.
We're going to talk about extending applications to mobile apps, and we'll see that your existing application can be distributed to more users and also to remote locations by utilizing this existing remote desktop technology. For those of you who probably have applications running on Citrix, some of this will look very familiar, but I think there's some dollars and cents savings that will benefit by seeing the application that we use to accomplish the same task as Citrix. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
What I want to talk about today is Open Insight in Microsoft Office. I'm going to concentrate on OpenXML. So this is going to be, the agenda is we're going to have an OpenXML discussion, and then I'll show some examples using Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. I have simple examples for all three, and I have more complex examples for interacting with Excel and Word. All the interaction is going to be Open Insight and using Basic Plus. So there really doesn't need to be a knowledge of any other technology other than Open Insight.
Right, what we're going to be talking about today is this thing called web browser control. I'm going to start off with the basics and then carry on from there. So we're looking at how to embed it in your forms. That's very simple, standard stuff. Maybe some of you are using it already. Loading static contents, which again is the normal way that people interact with this control. Okay. Dynamic content, which is where it starts to get a little bit more complex. Event handling, so we want to get the control to a stage where it's interactive, so we can actually start using it, we can start embedding things in it and start running events, basic plus events, based on what's happening inside.
What I'd like to do is actually talk about some of the things that are new in Open Insight 9.2. We modified just about 1,700 items. It would be fairly difficult to cover all those in 90 minutes. I think it would come down to a second each, maybe 2 seconds each per item. We'll talk about some of the higher level ones, some of the newer ones. We'll try not to duplicate things that are being gone over in the conference already. I know that we talked about the SQL connector yesterday, so we won't talk about that today. We will look at the D3 connector with TigerLogic. We will talk about the new TCL reporting, even though there's a TCL reporting class going on right next door. And sort of do whatever we can.
I want to give you my thanks for attending this presentation on developing or preparing your applications for the future using MVC concepts. Well, we should ask the question, what is MVC? Well, at the very least, it's just another computer acronym. In this case, it stands for Model View Controller.
So, it's O4W Day. It's a very, very important day for me.
By the way, I'm Bob Catalano.
So, you've heard about this, as we've been sprinkling in the newsletters, we've been introducing this new product, Open Insight for Web. So what is it? It's a Web 2.0 web development toolkit that works with Open Insight and any database that binds to Open Insight. So what happens is that because we have now the U2 bond, the D3 bond, and the SQL bond, we can use the O4W toolkit with any of those database environments. I think that really broadens what we can do as a web toolkit with other databases as well. This product utilizes JavaScript, HTML, Ajax technology. It's a true Web 2.0 development technology.
Some of this we've already discussed, at least briefly, in Bob Catalano's talk. What is O4W? O4W is Open Insight for the web. It has several components. It's made up of several little pieces, some of which you're familiar with already, perhaps. OECGI 2 has been around for a little while. We've now introduced OECGI 3, which is effectively the same, but more so. We use the engine server as a way to serve data up to our OECGI 2 transport mechanism. One of the things that's new about O4W is that we introduced the back-end language of jQuery into our web pages.
Thank you very, very much for coming here. We sincerely appreciate it. We have fun doing this. It's a ton of work, but it's worth it to us to show you what we've been doing to get your ideas and your feedback. I think we had all 20 sessions. The vendor fair and exhibit was fun. Dinner show was odd and exciting. I don't think there's any real blood. The cocktail party we had the first night, there was a little bit of blood maybe. We had I think we had a lot of good networking, and I could see that in the buzz at the breakfast tables in the morning, and even just last night. Having been to a lot of trade shows, not just Revelation shows, when you go there for one of these cocktail parties that lasts 2 or 3 hours, there's a buzz about 20 or 30 minutes in, and it disappears about 10 minutes later. And last night it seemed like the room was humming for a good 2.5 hours, which is fantastic. I mean, you don't see that even in the big money shows, unlike little guys like us.